When Phyllis Summers first hit Genoa City, she had about as much to do with Nick Newman as Victor would with a discount store. She was busy scheming left, right, and center to live happily ever after with Christine Williams' husband, pop star Danny Romalotti, whom she'd tricked into thinking was son Daniel's biological father. Nick, at that time, was entangled in a tempestuous marriage with Sharon Collins. Their relationship was tested repeatedly by his infidelity with Grace Turner, by the revelation that Sharon had a daughter in high school, and by the pregnancy that brought their son Noah into the world. Despite everything, Nick and Sharon managed to pass each test, staying together against the odds. However, tragedy struck one fateful night when Cassie made the terrible decision to try to impress her crush, Daniel, by driving him home from a party despite not having a license. She crashed the car and ultimately succumbed to her injuries. Nick, initially believing Daniel had been behind the wheel, was consumed with rage. When the truth emerged that Daniel hadn't been driving, Nick's fury turned inward, leaving him utterly devastated by Cassie's death. As he and Sharon grew apart, Nick found solace in the arms of none other than Daniel's mother, Phyllis. Nick and Sharon eventually resolved to stay together, but Phyllis discovered she was pregnant without knowing whether the father was Nick or his former stepfather, Jack Abbott. Following Nick and Sharon's divorce, Nick and Phyllis eloped to New Mexico, and she later gave birth to their daughter Summer during an ice storm with Jack by her side. Although Nick survived a plane crash, his memory of Phyllis didn't. Upon his return to Genoa City, Nick could only recall being in love with Sharon, who was now married to Jack. Once Nick's memory returned, he and Phyllis reunited, only for her to be arrested on their wedding day for blackmailing Brad Cartlin. Phyllis had uncovered Brad's affair with Sharon and used the information to her advantage, a move that would come back to haunt her. Nick and Phyllis teamed up with Sharon and Jack to run Restless Style, a magazine that brought all their past tension to the forefront. Despite this, Phyllis repeatedly forgave Nick for his straying thoughts and actions, especially when it came to Sharon. However, their relationship crumbled when Nick chose to reunite with Sharon, who was expecting their child. The final nail in the coffin came when their daughter Summer fell into a coma. Sharon, lying about Jack being the father of a baby, pushed Nick back to Phyllis. But their reunion was short-lived, and Phyllis soon found herself alone as Nick pursued other relationships, including a hot and heavy affair with Avery Clark. Even after learning that Nick had known for years that Jack was Summer's father, Phyllis couldn't resist her feelings for him. A confrontation with Sharon, who had switched Summer's paternity test results, led to Phyllis falling into a coma, only to wake up as Gina Tononi. She later returned just in time to disrupt Sharon and Nick's wedding, but found herself moving on with Jack instead. Over the years, Phyllis and Nick have drifted in and out of each other's lives, falling into new affairs and rekindling old flames. Their relationship has been a roller coaster of passion, betrayal, and heartbreak. Despite their tumultuous history, the chemistry between them remains undeniable. As Phyllis attempts to win back Danny Romalotti and Nick reels from his split with Shally Spectra, it seems the door is once again open for these two to reconnect. In Genoa City, where history often repeats itself, a Phyllis and Nick reunion is never entirely off the table. Their story is one of intense love, devastating loss, and the unpredictable nature of human relationships. Only time will tell if they'll find their way back to each other or if their fiery romance is truly a thing of the past.